Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into the world of drones today, specifically DJI's brand new drone, the DJI Flip.
Yeah.
We've got a first look review here from The Verge,
Okay.
and we're going to unpack if this thing is worth all the hype,
All right. Let's get into it.
and maybe if it's the drone that you've been waiting for. So first things first, this design, what is going on here?
Oh, yeah. The design is super unique. Kind of a first for DJI folding drones to have those like bicycle spoke-like
It's
arms.
giving me like Star Wars AT Walker vibes.
Yeah, a little bit. But those spokes, they actually form full coverage propeller guards.
Oh, okay, so that's a safety thing.
Yeah, definitely. It adds an extra layer of safety. Especially for beginners, it's nice to have that peace of mind.
Speaking of beginners, they're really touting this like one button launch
Yeah.
hand landing, like easy peasy.
Yeah, really trying to make it as simple as possible to get it up in the air. Contrast that with something like the DJI Neo, which requires more like joystick control for takeoff and land.
Oh, so this is even easier than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even just little things like unfolding it and it automatically powers on, just saves you a couple steps.
I see, I see. Okay, so big on the user experience,
Yep.
but we got to talk image quality because I'm seeing this 11.3-inch 4K 60 sensor
Mm.
and f1.7 aperture lens. Break that down for me. What does that mean for someone who maybe isn't a photography whiz?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty impressive camera setup. I mean, the sensor size, that's a big deal, capturing light. And
Hmm.
the larger the sensor, the better it is, especially in like low light conditions. And then that f1.7 aperture basically means the lens can open up really wide. You get more light in, you get that nice blurry background
So
effect.
it's not just capturing video, it's capturing like really, really good video.
Exactly. I mean, it's not going to be quite as good as something like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which has a 1-inch sensor.
Oh, okay.
But it's still very capable, especially in good light. The review said it even outperforms the DJI Neo in terms of image quality.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah. And, you've got 2.7K vertical video. You can shoot 48 megapixel stills.
Nice. So you got options.
Yeah, lots of options.
All right, let's talk about how this thing actually flies. DJI is saying 31 minutes of battery life.
That's pretty good. That's a significant improvement over something like the Neo, for example, which
Right.
struggled to hit that mark. So you can be up in the air longer and get more shots.
So you're not like constantly like, oh no, battery's dying.
Exactly, less anxiety. And the 3-axis gimbal, keeps everything nice and stable, smooth footage, even if it's a little bit breezy out.
Okay, good. Because I know sometimes those little drones, you get them out there and it's like
Yeah.
they're all over the place.
Especially the Neo, it really struggled in the wind. This one's supposed to be much better.
Okay. Well, speaking of size, I'm seeing here, it folds down, gets pretty compact, but the review said it's not like pocket sized.
Yeah, that's right. It's under that 249-gram weight limit, which is good, but it's not as pocketable as you might think. It's definitely more of a like backpack kind of drone.
I see, I see. So compact, but not tiny, tiny.
Right.
Okay. And let's get down to, brass tacks here. How much is this going to cost?
All right. So the basic kit with the RCN3 controller, $439.
Okay.
And then if you want the kit with 3 batteries, a carrying case, and the DJI RC2 controller, which is a little bit more advanced, that'll be $779.
Okay. So that's like the fully loaded option.
Exactly.
And how does that compare to the Mini 4 Pro pricing?
Yeah, good question. So the comparable kits for the Mini 4 Pro are $959 and $1099 respectively.
Oh, wow. So you are saving a chunk of change.
Yeah, $320 difference.
Yeah, that's a good amount of money.
It is.
Okay. So I'm hearing that it is available like as of today.
Yep. Shipping available on DJI's website right now.
Well, all right. So we talked about, the design, how easy it is to use, that camera quality, and, the all-important price. It seems like really DJI is trying to make this drone that anyone can use.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, they are marketing this as kind of their new entry-level series alongside the Neo and the Mini, so
Wow.
catering to those different beginner needs.
But even if you're not a beginner, it seems like there's a lot to like here.
Yeah, I think so too, especially for the price.
Yeah. Now, I do want to talk about one thing. The review touched on this briefly. I think you mentioned it earlier. It's not FPV compatible.
Yeah, that's right. No FPV headset support.
So for those who don't know, can you just give us a quick rundown of what FPV is and why someone might, be looking for that?
Yeah, so FPV stands for a first-person view, and it basically means you can see what the drone sees through a headset.
Okay.
So you get that really immersive experience. It's very popular with kind of more seasoned drone pilots who really like that thrill.
I see.
So yeah, if you're looking for that, this might not be the drone for you.
It seems like they made a very conscious decision to be like, we're going for ease of use here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
accessibility, keep it simple.
All right. Well, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Hmm.
I do want to touch on something that, might be important to some people, and that's the noise level. The review mentioned something about that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's not the quietest drone out there.
Okay.
It's got those ducted propellers, which are supposed to help reduce noise, but it still generates a pretty noticeable hum when it's in flight.
So, like, not library appropriate.
Probably not the best choice for a library, no.
Okay. So we got the good, we got the unique, and we got the maybe not so quiet.
Yeah.
Now it's time to put it all together.
Yeah.
So is this DJI Flip worth the investment?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and I think to really answer that, we need to consider who this drone is for.
And we'll dive into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
I mean, if you're someone who's never flown a drone before, you just want to kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah.
This is a great option. It's easy to use, captures great footage, doesn't cost a fortune. But if you've already flown a few drones,
Right.
maybe you want something a bit more advanced, like that Mini 4 Pro we talked about,
Yeah, yeah.
that has obstacle avoidance, longer flight range, but of course, you're going to pay more for those features.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's really just kind of figuring out what you want, what your needs are.
Exactly.
Okay. And speaking of needs, we did talk about that noise level, but the review also mentioned no raw image capture.
Right.
What's the deal with that?
So for most people, shooting in JPEG, that's totally fine. But if you're someone who likes to do a lot of editing,
Yeah.
you want that raw capture because it gives you a lot more flexibility.
Can you break that down for me a little bit?
Mhm.
Because I hear photographers talk about raw, but I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, so basically a raw image file has all the data that the camera sensor captured. It's not compressed, it's not processed, so you have much more control when you're editing. You can adjust things like exposure, white balance, color saturation, really fine-tune it, and you end up with a higher quality image.
So it's like having the digital negative, so to speak,
Exactly.
that you can then manipulate. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who are really serious about photography, that might be something to consider. But I want to kind of zoom out for a second.
Sure.
We're talking about this flip, but really it's one example of this, bigger trend of drones becoming more accessible, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just for tech enthusiasts anymore. We're seeing them being used in all sorts of industries, agriculture, construction, search and rescue.
It's amazing how this technology that seems so futuristic is now just becoming a part of our lives.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Do you think drones like this are going to change the way we capture travel experiences, for example?
Oh, for sure. I mean, just a few years ago, you needed expensive equipment and a lot of skill to get those aerial shots. Now anyone can do it.
Yeah, it's like having your own personal helicopter following you around.
Exactly. And it's not just about those perfect Instagram shots. It gives you a whole new perspective on the places you visit. You can explore landscapes from above, find hidden spots, create these immersive videos.
It's like a whole new way to experience travel.
Absolutely.
Okay. But beyond the personal use, I mean, do you see this impacting other industries in a big way?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned, agriculture, construction, they can access areas that are difficult to reach, collect data.
I see.
It's really becoming an essential tool for a lot of professionals.
That's amazing. So what do you think is next for drones?
Well, we're seeing a lot of advancements in artificial intelligence, battery tech, autonomous flight.
So for us, regular folks, what does that mean? What can we expect to see in the future?
Well, longer flight times for sure. Smarter drones that can fly themselves. Even better cameras.
So basically, even more powerful and easy to use.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, exciting times. Okay, so for now, let's bring it back to the flip. We've talked about the features, pros and cons. Anything else we need to cover before we kind of give our final thoughts?
I think we've hit all the major points.
All right, great. So final thoughts. Yeah, so big picture. We spent some time with this flip, virtually, of course. What's the final takeaways? This thing, going to change the game?
I don't know about changing the game, but it's definitely a step forward. I mean, they're making it clear that they want this to be easy for anyone to pick up and have fun with.
It seems like they've taken all the intimidation factor out of flying a drone.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's really important because it opens it up to so many more people who might have been hesitant before. It just seemed too technical. Now you have this drone that's just Designed to be simple.
And it doesn't hurt that, I mean, the footage is actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, for the price, the image quality is really impressive.
But, got to be realistic. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
We talked about the raw capture missing
Right.
and that noise level.
Yeah, those are definitely things to consider.
So, I mean, it really just comes down to what you're looking for.
Right. What are your needs? If you're a professional photographer, you need that raw capture. Maybe this isn't for you.
Yeah.
But for everyday use, you just want to capture some cool footage?
Yeah.
This is a great option.
And I mean, price is a big factor too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with drones, they can get really expensive.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a good balance between price and what you get.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening to this and they're like on the fence, any advice, what should they be thinking about before they decide?
I think first, just really think about what you want to use it for. What are your goals?
Yeah.
Do you want to just, capture some fun memories on vacation, or are you trying to do something more serious?
Right.
Once you know that, then you can start comparing different models, looking at the features, the flight time, the camera quality, and of course the price.
And don't be afraid to read reviews, watch videos.
Yeah, do your research. There's a lot of information out there.
And this is constantly changing, right? Like what's new today might be old news tomorrow.
Exactly. So it's good to stay informed and just be open to new possibilities.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. We've reached the end of our deep dive into the DJI Flip. Hopefully you learned a thing or two.
Yeah, and maybe you're even thinking about getting your own drone now.
Yeah, maybe the Flip is the one for you. But if not, like you said, there's a whole world of drones out there. So until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.